What it do, house crew? Back here, another video. Sorry about the audio, it's not been looking good the past 2 days. It's actually kind of hard to find a place to record when there is no fucking privacy here. I mean, yeah, I don't know, there's just some person on their call, just yapping, so I decided I'm gonna put on the AirPods, which is where I'm recording, and I'm gonna make this video. Now, for a special fight night like Abu Dhabi, which are always so stacked, I'm gonna make a full card review just because it's out of the kindness of my heart. So here's the UFC Abu Dhabi full card review. Here we go. So the first fight on the card, Martin Butte versus Marcus Buchecha, who I think is a new signing. I've heard a lot about Buchecha. I know he was he's one of the best names in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world. He was a multiple time national champion at the IBJJFs, and then he had some couple of MMA fights in one where he actually went against some pretty decent people. Like I know it's one championship, but he went against decent people, and I know he fought Rogue. What is this? How do you say it? Rugrug. Well, I don't know. Rugrug, right? That guy who's the champion right now. Yeah, and he fought against him, and honestly, I didn't think that Buchecha did that bad against him. It was just clear that Rugrug is just he's on a boatload of steroids, and same with him and Anthony Malakin, which I'm gonna get on to later when concerning the main event. But now he's going against Martin Butte, who's a ranked opponent, surprisingly, and Martin Butte is he's not a bad fighter. He really isn't a bad fighter. The problem is, I just think that Buchecha's grappling is just way better than Butte's. I mean, he does have some good moments, and I do say he's one of the better heavyweights. I think in terms of like the heavyweights right now, he's not necessarily the worst one. And his only loss is to Shamil Gaziev, who honestly, we all know that Shamil Gaziev is the GOAT, and he beat the ultimate heavyweight GOAT of all time, Chris Barnett, as well. I mean, he's beat some names, and he beat some names in the heavyweight division, and I don't think he's a bad fighter, but concerning the fact that he is going against Buchecha, who is tried and tested, who's had some MMA fights, this isn't some Bellator type of signing. Like Buchecha is actually really good, and I say really good compared to the rest of the heavyweights. I do think his grappling's on another level, and I do see this being an easy submission for Buchecha. I just don't think Butte has the grappling to be able to defend it. And Buchecha was having some moments against Rugrug, who's primarily a wrestler, and he was having some good grappling moments. I think Buchecha's pretty good. I think he does introduce something new. He's a much more technical grappler, which we don't see those a lot. I honestly can only name two technical grapplers right now in the UFC heavyweight division: Tom Aspinall, Cesar Almeida. Those are the only two actually good grapplers. I know Walter Walker is a good grappler too, but I don't know. I feel like he's kind of like a one-trick guy. He always goes for the heel hook no matter what, and he's just able to be successful with it because nobody at heavyweight can defend a heel hook for some reason. But I think this is going to be a easy submission win for Buchecha. I do see him having success. Like I don't think he's going to be that bad on the feet against Butte. I don't see Butte really threatening him that much on the feet. And he's a short, stocky guy. I think a lot of times people kind of look at it as like, oh, he's shorter, he's not as long, so he'll lose the fight. But as a grappler, I think that is going to give him insane leverage. We see like short, stocky grapplers. They tend to be a lot harder to take down, and they tend to get more takedowns, especially against a taller guy like Boudet, who's not really necessarily the biggest guy. I think he's just all fat, but he's not really strong. So I think Buchecha's going to get a takedown. Think he's going to be able to advance on the submission and get a choke in round one. So I'm going to go with Buchecha by round one sub. Next, we got Steven Ewan versus Mohamed Yaya. I'm going with Ewan. Ewan does have some bad losses, and he has gotten beat up. I just don't think Yaya's good at all. I just think he sucks. And he's just been looking shit his past couple of fights. And the only reason why he's in it is probably because of the Abu Dhabi politics and all that stuff, you know. I think apart from Kamza recently, he's now the only he was the only UAE fighter. So we're keeping him on there, but I think he's gonna lose. I think UN is just better all in all aspects. I think he's a better striker. He's more technical, and we do see technical strikers, people who are much more skillful, be a problem for Yaya in the past. So I think it's just gonna be an easy decision for UN. I think he's gonna just be better on the feet. I think the ground is just gonna be better at too. And I don't even think Ewan's that good, but I just think Yaya's just utter shit. He just sucks. So I'm gonna go Ewan by decision. This is honestly an easy pick. I don't rate Yaya at all. I think he sucks. Genuinely, genuinely, I think he sucks. Sorry about the voice thing too. My throat's all acting fucked up and all. And excuse the background noise. So, even if you're in a fucking study room, you'll still hear noise. That's what I'm pissed about. I'm gonna get a studio one day. I'm gonna get a mic, nice little studio, so I can actually make quality videos. But I can't do that if I can't fucking record it. You know. Enough of my rant. I'm gonna go. So Ibo Aslan versus Billy Elikana. I'm gonna go for Elikana. I think Elikana looked pretty good against Guskov, and especially on 1 week short notice against a full camp Guskov, he was able to control Guskov on the ground and almost even lock in a submission. And Guskov's an actually decent grappler, and I'm gonna rate him more when I talk about his fight with Krylov, right? I think Alikhan is a good grappler, and we've seen grappling be a huge like kind of stain on Ibo Aslan. I think Ibo Aslan is a good striker. He has good power, Turkish power, but I think Billy Alikhan is just going to go for the takedown, and if he's putting that pressure on Ibo Aslan, I just don't think that Ibo is going to necessarily perform the same, especially on the ground too. I think Alikana does have some underrated grappling, as he demonstrated it against Guskov, and I think with a full camp where he's fully prepared, fully accustomed to the weight class, because I know he was a middleweight. I know he was not in light heavyweight, but now he is a middleweight. I know that Billy Alicante is going to put on a better performance. And based on what he did against Guskov in the first round, I felt like in the second round, I think he just gassed. I think he gassed. He was just not in shape for that fight. And you could tell he just looks better here compared to the first fight he had. I just think that Ivo Aslan's grappling remains to be seen, and I think Alicante is going to expose it. I think Alicante is going to come in here and make a statement. I'm going to go with Alicante. I'm going to go with I'm going to go with round two sub. I think that's the very fair prediction. Round two or round three. I think he's going to put the pace on Ebo. I think maybe Ebo's going to land some good shots on Elikana, and it will kind of make the round even. But I still think Elikana might take the first round, and then second round he'll be able to get a takedown and go for the submission. Round one or round two. I don't know, but I'm thinking round two for submission for Elikana. Next, we got the first ranked fight. Manda Hibas versus Tabitha Ritchie. This is a hard fight to choose because I don't like either of these fighters. I think Rivas is just not as good as she used to be. She used to be pretty decent. She used to be actually pretty good. But I think in her last few fights, she's just not looked impressive at all. I mean, her fight IQ is kind of just out of the window. She is chinny. She got chinned by Macy Barber bad. Beat up by beat the hell up, dominated by Rose Namajunas, and then she got submitted by Mackenzie Dern, which honestly that fight wasn't even close. Like I don't know what the hell Rebos was doing in that fight. I think did I pick her? No, I didn't pick her. But I thought the fight was gonna be still close because I felt like they were evenly matched. But Rebos just did not do good that fight. But she's going against Tabitha Ritchie, who I think her in her last fight she got utterly dominated by Yan Janan. I don't know why the fuck I even picked Richie for that fight. I think I was oh yeah, I think I was drunk when I made that fight. When I made those fight picks. It was like late night or something like that. But Yan Chanan destroyed the fuck out of her. I did not think she won win against Angela Hill, and then I thought she robbed Tisha Pennington at the time as well. It's like she doesn't do enough in her fights to really make it actually like she always makes it close. She always just does the bare minimum, and I just feel like she has some privilege because she did not win her last two fights. Her last two wins should be losses. She did not win those fights, and I think there might be some agenda UFC trying to push. You know, Richie's a very attractive woman, so I think maybe they're trying to push something. But hey, I think Rebus looks better. I don't know. That's my opinion. But um, I just don't know. Like I think this is going to be another close fight, close competitive fight. I do think Rebus might put more volume than Richie. I think Richie just doesn't do enough to really solidify her fights going her way. I think she does. She is just not active in her strike numbers. She doesn't really shoot a lot of takedowns. She just doesn't do enough. And unless Rebus somehow fucks this up and makes this way closer than it should be, and and she could definitely do that. She's had some questionable fight decisions, especially in her last one against Mackenzie Dern. Very questionable ones. But I'm gonna go with Rebus. I'm gonna go with Rebus by decision. I think it's gonna be 29-28. Think Rebus will just do enough to be able to skate by a win against Richie. I just don't think Richie's good. I think she definitely did not win her last two fights. And let's be for real, I don't think Tisha and Angela Hill were that good either. But if you're making that close against them, I just don't think that you're going to lose to a girl like Rebus, you know? I just don't. I think Rebus is more active on the feet. I think she has the grappling advantage. I think she's just, honestly, I just think she's just better all around in terms of her fighting compared to Richie. But I also like it with her chin as well. I just don't see Richie knocking her out or submitting her. So I'm gonna just go with Rebus by decision. But honestly, it could go to Richie as well. I think it's gonna be a very close fight. It could be a split decision. And knowing my luck, knowing that I bet against Tabitha Richie for the past two fights, the past two wins, and she still somehow wins. I think it's pretty fair to say it could just definitely be a toss-up, but I'm going to think that the judges aren't going to be so biased towards attractive women and go with Amanda Ribas by decision. Okay, next we got Davy Grant versus Damon Blackshear. Now, I now before you guys say this, Damon Blackshear, I low-key lost hope in it before the fight he put on last time against some Asian guy, some really a good Asian striker. Before that, I thought Blackshear was overrated. I thought he would I thought he did really mid against Cody Gibson. And he did win the fight. He did finish Cody Gibson, but he was not winning that fight. And now, but after what I saw in his last fight, I do think Damon Blackshear is just better all around. I think he's the better grappler. I think he's the better striker. He looks super composed. He's a lot more patient. He's a lot more like, I guess you could say he's a lot more technical. I think his striking has definitely gone a long way. You know, and let's be fair, one of his old UFC losses to Montel Jackson. I mean, I don't think it's a bad loss. I mean, I think Montel Jackson is just an explosive guy. I think it's just a bad matchup for Damon Blackshear. And for Davey Grant, it's I don't know. I just think he's just a lot. He's just older now. He's not as good as he used to be. You know, I felt like he was good a few years ago, but with the injuries, the aging, I just think Damon Blackshear is just going to come in here the better, more in condition fighter, and I think he's just better on the feet. I think he's a lot. I think his Muay Thai has improved a lot. He showed really good technical striking in his last fight. And he didn't have to take the fight to the ground. He was dominating on the feet. He did not have to take the fight to the ground until I think later in that fight. And on the ground, I think Blackshear's really good. He has some really slick submission skills. He's really I mean I think his grappling is very underrated. I think Blackshear's overall is just underrated. And I feel like now, ever since that Montel Jackson win, he's been going on a few wins. He did have one bad performance against Cody Gibson, but that's really it. I feel like that was just a fluke performance. Like I just don't think it will happen again. I think Damon Blackshear will just show out. I think he'll dominate Davy Grant. I just think Davy Grant just won't be as fast as Damon Blackshear, and I don't think on the ground. On the ground, I just don't think Blackshear is just gonna lose to Grant. So I think Damon Blackshear. Um, I would go with submission, but I'm gonna go safe pick. I'm gonna go with Damon Blackshear by decision. I think he might catch him in some things. I think he might do well on the ground, but I see this going to decision. I think David Grant's a tough dude, even at his age. So we'll go with that. Damon Blackshear by decision. Next, we got Muslim Salikov versus Carlos Leal. I'm going Carlos Leal, and I'm gonna go Carlos Leal by knockout, round one. I think he's gonna put the pace on Salikov. Leal is a monster. He just destroys everyone. Like the way he did Morono, and Morono's a tough dude. Morono's tough, and the way he did Morono was just crazy. And I think Muslim Salikov, he looked really good in his last fight, but I think with the age, the fact is, I don't think Leal is just going to be in the range for Salikov to really use his kicks. Salikov has some good kicks. He has some good taekwondo, kung fu. But Leal's a monster. He will go in your face. He is those type of strikers who will just go in your face and just start pressuring you. And that is the type of style that has defeated Salikov pretty easily in the past. So I'm gonna go Carlos Leal by knockout in the first round. I think he's gonna put the pace on him. He's just gonna go in there. And I think he might chin Salikov. I think against the cage he'll hit him with a good real nice hook and drop him. And maybe get a TKO. So I'm gonna go Carlos Leal by TKO in the first round. Next, we got the feature prelim. Bryce Mitchell versus Saeed Nurmagomedov. I thought this was gonna be on the main card, but I guess they moved it. Um, it's hard. It's hard to pick this fight. Bryce Mitchell did not look good in his last he did not look good in his last fight at all against Gene Silva. I know Gene Silva is really good. I thought Bryce Mitchell would do better. It just surprised me just how bad he did. Not only in the stand up, because in the stand up he was fine, but he was just getting picked apart. Especially in the second round, he was just getting picked apart, just destroyed, dropped twice. But on the ground, that's what surprised me because he got submitted. But he was caught in two submission attempts that could have ended the fight. His takedowns were not getting anywhere. He didn't take down Gene Silva at all. And it was just surprising because Gene Silva has shown weakness to grappling. And I thought Bryce Mitchell would take him down and at least give him some resistance. I didn't think he was gonna win the fight. I just think he was just gonna give him some resistance, like he gave Ilya in their fight. But he didn't look that impressive. But at 135, I think this is his weight class. I think Bryce Mitchell is small for 145. He's not small to where he needs to be lower. I think he would have done fine at 145. But if he wants to get up in the rankings and at least have some opportunity, I think Bryce Mitchell is just better at 135. I mean, it's clear he's already leaner. And he has the strength benefits. He is going to be stronger than a lot of these bantamweights, which is something he didn't have in 145. It was clear Josh Emmett, Ilya Taporia, Gene Silva, they were just manhandling him. And at 135, I see really good chances for him. The one thing is, Saeed Nurmagomedov does have some good front chokes. He has some good guillotines. I am worried about that, especially if Bryce Mitchell shoots those lazy ass takedowns. If he shoots those things and Saeed catches him in a guillotine, I just don't know. I really don't know. But maybe I just overrate Saeed because I don't think Saeed is as good as Gene Silva, or he's not as good as Ilya Taporia. He doesn't hit hard like Josh Emmett. And I think Bryce Mitchell overall in terms of not only skill and well-roundedness, but also gas tank, I think he's just better than Saeed in all aspects. I think Saeed is going to have a better round in the first round. I think he's going to have his best work there. But as the fight goes on, well, Bryce Mitchell's just going to keep up the momentum. He's just going to keep up the pace. And I think Saeed Nurmagomedov is just going to gas. It's going to be a high-paced fight. Bryce always makes it high-paced. He always puts the pressure on. He keeps moving forward. He does have a hell of a chin. And I just think that overall, I think this is a good division for Bryce Mitchell. I mean, he is big for 135. He is. He's way bigger than Said Nurmagomedov, who isn't even small for 135. He's not small. So I think this is a good fight. I'm gonna go with Bryce Mitchell. I'm gonna go with Bryce Mitchell by decision. I think in the first round it's gonna be a lot more even, more competitive, and then as the second and third round goes by, I think Bryce Mitchell is just gonna turn up the pace. Said is gonna gas around the second round, and we're gonna see a 29-28 decision for Bryce Mitchell. We're on to the main card. Nikita Krylov versus Bogdan Guzkov. Nikita Krylov, holy shit. I picked Nikita Krylov. I remember I picked him to win the fight because I thought one I used the Ankalaev fight because I think Ankalaev's hardest fight apart from Alex Pereira was definitely Krylov. Krylov made that shit super close. And Krylov's a very dynamic striker and he has some good grappling and I just think he would have been too much for Reyes, but no, he was not. He was not too much for Reyes. He was just winging shit everywhere, and he was just so keen on trying to finish Dominic Reyes that Dominic Reyes was able to catch him. And now he's going against Guskov. Like what? This is barely like this is July, right? This is 3 months after. This is about 3 months after UFC 314 where you got slept cold in the first round. I don't like his chances. I just think that he might come in with the same game plan of just trying to, put pressure on Guskov, try to finish him, use the leaping attacks, the karate style. And that's just not going to work for Guskov. I think Guskov has some really good technical striking. He has some good grappling, but I don't think it's going to go to the ground. And he hits hard. He does hit hard. So I think Guskov does catch Krylov. I think this might be a second time in a row Krylov gets KO'd, which sucks. I like Krylov. I think he's a fun fighter to watch sometimes. But man, I just don't know, man. I was overrating Krylov so much because he had such a good performance against Ryan Spann, who Dominic Reyes lost to. He submitted Gustav, he beat Gustafsson. He gave Ankalaev one of his toughest fights, who was the champion. And I was just thinking, like, yeah, man, he might be too much for Reyes. And Reyes just slept him. And it wasn't even like it was a lucky shot. Dominic Reyes was not losing it. He stung him with a jab. And it was clear Krylov he leaps in with his attacks, but he leaves his chin in the air. And when you're doing that against Guskov, I just don't have any faith in you. I just don't. Also, I think he represents Russia now, not Ukraine. But I don't want to get political. Anyways, I don't know why it should say win. I mean, he literally just fucking fought 4 months ago, or no, 7 months ago technically. But yeah, man. I think Bogdan Guskov gets a KO. I'm gonna go Guskov round one KO, man. I think that is the play. That is the play. So I'm gonna go with that. Guskov round one KO. I think he catches Krylov. I think he leaps in. I think he gets him with a good hook. And I think Krylov is not going to get slapped, but I think he's just going to get TKO'd, Or maybe Guskov is going to put the pressure on him and then TKO him against the cage. So I'm going to go Guskov by TKO. Round one or round two. I don't know. Next, we got Asu Almabaya versus Jose Ochoa. Now, I think Asu was supposed to fight Ramzan Temirov, and Ramzan, he pulled out of the fight. There's some controversy around him. He did have a very competitive, close fight with Charles Johnson. And I know Charles Johnson has been saying, oh, Ramzan's on steroids. I don't know about that. But I honestly think, in my opinion, I think he might be. But now he's fighting Jose Ochoa, who had such a dominant fight against Cody Durden. I mean, he just slept him. Like, literally, the fight was about to start. We were just zooming into the octagon, and then boom, he just already KO'd him. Jose Ochoa is a good prospect. He is one of the most exciting prospects. I'm kind of glad he's getting a ranked fight. Am I glad that he's getting it over Loner Kavanaugh? No. But I think he's a really exciting fighter. He gave Loner Kavanaugh a very tough, close split decision fight on short notice. And Loner Kavanaugh, everyone's been saying, like, oh, this guy's good. And I think he is really good. And Jose Ochoa was able to do what he did against Loner Kavanaugh on short notice, made it really close. I think Jose Ochoa's grappling defense is really good. I mean, it was like Cody Durden's a very good grappler. He's a very good wrestler, and honestly, Ochoa was able to handle his grappling very fine. And his striking, I mean, Cody Durden's actually a decent striker, and he destroyed him on the feet, just utterly destroyed him. And I, I'm gonna be real. I picked Asu against Cop, and now there has been some controversy about that last fight. You know, people are saying he got robbed because of the eye pokes. I'm gonna be real. If he got that break and if he didn't get eye poked, I think he still would have lost. I think he would have. He was not really taking down Cop that much. He was landing some good shots, and I know some people gave him round two, but I definitely did not give him round two. That was a clear Cop round, and he was just getting outpaced on the feet by Cop, who is a really good striker. But I was surprised too because I thought Asu would do better. You know, he had a good striking showcase against Nicolau. And then I looked back into Nicolau's record and his fights, and I'm just thinking, if you're making a competitive striking match of Nicolau, who honestly one doesn't do shit on the feet and is very chinny, if you're having a competitive fight with Nicolau, I don't rate you that high. I don't rate Asu that high. I think he's very small compared to Jose Ochoa. I think he's just not going to be able to grapple him the same. I know Asu's grappling is good, but I think Ochoa has the. I mean, he's already fought a grappler. He showed good promise. I think Durden's a pretty good grappler too. He already has that kind of knowledge of how to defend the takedowns and all that stuff. It's a different style, but it's the same thing, right? I think Jose Ochoa is a way better striker. I think he's honestly, I'm gonna be real. I think it's gonna be Jose Ochoa. I think he might um I think he might KO Asu Amabayev. I think he might do that. But I think Asu's tough. I mean, he was getting eye poked to hell and he was still standing up and doing fine. I think he got done dirty by the referee. I don't know what the hell the referee was doing. He was just not giving him any breaks. He got eye poked clearly, like multiple times, and he didn't get any more breaks. It's like that fight should have gone on longer. I don't think it should have been around three TKO. I think it should have been. I think you would have TKO'd him anyways, but I think it would have been a cop decision or round four TKO. But Jose Ochoa, he hits hard, has really good technical striking. I think he's going to outpace Hasu on the feet, and I see it being a very dominant decision win for Ochoa. So I'm going to go Jose Ochoa by decision. Next, we got Shara Magomedov versus Marc-Andre Barrial. That is my reaction to this fight. Maybe I'm just tired from always speaking, but the amount of privilege Shara Magomedov has is insane. It's fucking insane because he got exposed heavily in that MVP fight. I'm not even saying MVP is not a bad. I mean, MVP is a very good striker, but for him being a favorite in the fight against MVP, he got exposed. This was a Bo Nickel DeRitter type of situation before Bo Nickel versus DeRitter. You know, it was a very hyped, undefeated prospect who was really looking good against cans. Let's be for real. Like Charlo was not fighting good people. His best opponent was Petrosian and Olajaychik, who were honestly was some of the most mid middleweights. I mean, Olajaychik is good now, but he's decent now. But I just think that Petrosian sucks and he's a cheater. And Char was having a very competitive fight with Petrosian. I saw it before. I was just thinking, yeah, MVP would destroy this motherfucker. Chara is he's a decent kickboxer. He does have some good kicks. He does really good off the back foot, which I think does help him a lot when he does get pressured, especially from high volume, high pressure fighters like Barrial, who tend to just walk forward and unload some volume. I think this is a very tailor-made matchup for Shara. This is an easy Shara decision win. Um, it's a either decision, but I might go with I might go with decision, honestly. I think Andre Barrios is pretty tough. Like, and he is coming off a huge win. I don't know why I said huge win. He's coming off a win because it's not a very impressive win. Bruno Silva Let's be real. Should have been out of that. He should have been out of the octagon 4 fights ago. He was just fighting like a remnant of him. And Shara got exposed heavily in the MVP fight. He got dominated, easy as that. He had no answers for MVP striking. He just got dominated, and now he's getting another can. It's like, why are we not feeding this guy wrestlers? We could have seen Shara Magomedov versus Bo Nickel for one of the funniest fights in history, but or we could have seen Shara Magomedov versus honestly, one thing I'm interested in is Shara versus Bakoev. If Bakoev wins against Torres Finney, I think we could see that fight in the future, maybe for Abu Dhabi card for 321. But I just think this is just an easy opponent for Shara. I think Shara, I mean, Barrial is a high pressure, high volume guy. He just doesn't knock out people. And apart from that one knockout win against Bruno Silva, it's just like, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. And Shara Magomedov is just better on the feet. I think he does really good on the back foot. I think he has some good variety. He has some good tools. And I think it's just going to be an easy 30-27 coast decision for Shara. And you can put in round 3 TKO if you want to feel like it. So I'm going to go with Shara Magomedov by decision. I think he's just going to outpace Marc-André Barrial. And I think he's going to just put him against the cage. I think Barrial's going to be tough, and he's going to get through, and he's going to have some good moments and try to keep pushing the pressure, but pushing the pace. But yeah, Shara is just a better around striker. I think his kicks is striking on the back foot, and Shara's a high volume guy too. So I think it's just going to be a striking masterclass for Shara against a can, and then he gets a ranked opponent for no fucking reason. He's so overrated, bro. He is actually insanely overrated. He needs to fight a wrestler. He really does, because if you can't be this shit at wrestling as a Dagestani. I'm gonna be real. I know it's a stereotype, but come on. Anyways, enough hating. Shara by decision. Next, we got the co-main, Peter Yan versus Marcus McGee. When I saw this fight happen, I was confused. I was just confused, like, dude, Peter Yan literally deserved a title shot back in November when he defeated Figueiredo. He was the number one contender. And Umar, Sean O'Malley, and Corey, who all definitely did not deserve the title shot over Yan. They all got title shots over Yan. It's just like they're feeding him to the wolves. They're trying to make something new. I know Peter Yan got dominated by Marab, and that's why he's not getting a rematch. But at this point, I just respect Peter Yan because he fights anyone anytime. He could have just waited for a title shot. He didn't have to fight, but he's just challenging Umar to fight. He now takes on Marcus McGee, who is a dangerous prospect. I actually like Marcus McGee. His striking is really fluid. He's a very slick striker. He has some good power. I think his footwork is what makes him really good as well. He showed really good footwork against Jonathan Martinez. And apart from the third round, which honestly I think Jonathan Martinez just adjusted and was able to use the leg kicks properly. And apart from shitty fight IQ, I felt like Jonathan Martinez could have finished that fight. But now he's going against a really good striker like Peter Yan. And let me tell you, there's levels to this shit. I know their styles makes fight, but there's levels to this shit. Peter Yan is defeating the best of the best. He's beating a Corey. He's beating Song Yadong. He's beating Figueiredos. And those guys are beating Rob Font, and Henry Cejudo. And I haven't seen Marcus McGee fight a Rob Font. I haven't seen Marcus McGee fight anyone in the rankings currently. He has one ranked win. But that guy's not even ranked anymore. And it was still a very competitive fight. It's just that I know this is honestly I think this is one of Peter's easiest wins. I think this is going to be a very dominant performance from Peter Yan. I think he's just going to show levels. I think Peter Yan's defense, his striking output definitely does tend to be worse in the beginning of the fight, but I think Marcus McGee is going to probably take the first round. He's going to take it based on activity. And then in the second and third round, Peter Yan's going to up the pace, just like he did against Song Yadong. He's going to up the pace. He's going to put the pressure on Marcus McGee, put more volume. He's probably even going to be able to take down Marcus McGee if he can. I think he could. I mean, let's just check their grappling. I mean, 100% takedown defense is pretty impressive, but let's be for real. Yes, he got taken down 11 times by Marab. Do you know how many times Marab shot in that fight? 49 times. 49 times he shot takedowns. And Peter Yan defended 38 of them while also being pressured for 5 rounds straight. Marab was just constantly shooting takedowns, and Peter Yan defended most of them. I just think that Marcus McGee is just levels below Peter Yan. Marcus McGee has looked impressive in his fights, and he's looked really good. He just never fought anyone like Peter Yan. He's never fought anyone who has been at the top of division for so long, who is a former champion. He just never fought that level. And it's hard for me to choose McGee because I just don't think McGee is just going to be able to just dominate Peter Yan. I don't think he's going to knock him out or finish him. He's definitely not going to take him down. I mean, Marcus McGee's a dangerous guy, but I think Peter Yan has faced more dangerous guys before. You know, he fought Song Yadong, who was up and coming. He fought Figueiredo, who was a former champ. He fought Corey Sandhagen, who's literally he dominated Corey Sandhagen, who's literally now fighting for the title. And I thought he arguably won against Sean O'Malley. Let's be for real, that fight was definitely Peter Yan's. Yeah, but I just think that Peter Yan is just gonna show levels in this fight. I think his striking is gonna look real good. I think in the first round it'll be competitive, and I see McGee winning that first round. But I think Peter Yan's gonna make his reads. He's gonna make his adjustments, and he's gonna be able to outstrike Marcus McGee and really show that level in striking. So, anyways, we got the last fight of the card: Robert Whittaker versus Renato Ritter. I I was like surprised when this fight was announced. I thought that Robert Whittaker was gonna, fight maybe a Hernandez or he was gonna fight a Dolidze or anyone, honestly. But he fought Renato Ritter, and let's be for real, I think, or like a Kyle Barajo. I thought he was gonna fight those guys, but fighting Renato Ritter, fighting so low on the rankings too. Like Renato Ritter, he's just recently ranked. He wasn't even ranked a year ago. I mean, a few months ago. Now he is. He's fighting for a top five spot, and this could very well be a title eliminator. If Renato Ritter wins this fight, he could very well be close to a title shot. So now this is a tough fight because I love Robert Whittaker. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch. Every time he's fighting, I'm always rooting for him. I just don't see him winning this fight. I just think Renato Ritter is just a bad matchup. We've seen Robert get physicality by out physical by DDP, by Israel Adesanya. He just tends to kind of not be as good when he's being pressured, when he deals with guys who could potentially shut his lights out. And Renato Ritter is different because not only does he have good power, I think I think his grappling is going to be what decides this fight. Renato Ritter keeps pushing forward. Especially in the Bo Nickel fight, he had a good game plan. Just be in his face and just put in the knees. Make him uncomfortable. Just keep pressuring him. Never let him have his distance. That is the same game plan he has to use against Robert Whittaker. He should never let Robert Whittaker feel comfortable. He needs to keep pushing the pace, push him against the cage, just keep walking him down. Keep him on the back foot because on the back foot, Robert Whittaker isn't as good. You know, Robert Whittaker does the best when he's going against technical kind of non-pressure styles. Not like a Jared Cannonier or Marvin Vettori who don't really pressure forward as much. Robert Whittaker is able to make his best work, but against Renato Ritter, who's not only way bigger than those guys, he also has a big presence. He has some good power. I think Robert Whittaker is a bit chinny, and I just think that Renato Ritter will be able to take down Robert Whittaker and get a sub. So now, not maybe not a sub, but I think he could get a TKO. I know a lot of people are saying sub, because of the fact that Khamzat subbed him. Honestly, Khamzat subbing him is not really a sub. I don't think so. It wasn't even a full-on choke. He just pressed on his teeth, his teeth fell back. It was more of an injury kind of thing. Now I'm not making excuses. Robert Whittaker was still losing that fight very badly. before the finish, so it didn't even matter. But yeah, I just don't see. I see Renato Ritter being able to take him down, and maybe I think honestly, you know what I think happens? I think Renato Ritter is gonna hit him with a really good shot. Round two, round three. He's gonna hit him with a really good shot that catches Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker, he's a tough guy. He's gonna keep standing. Then Renato Ritter is gonna take him down and TKO him. I think that's what's gonna happen in this fight. Renato Ritter has the right game plan. He has the right mindset because we've seen it use it. He's seen to use this game plan that could defeat Robert Whittaker against Bo Nickel, and he did very well. And I think if he uses that same game plan against Robert Whittaker, makes some adjustments, he'll be able to win this pretty decisively. So I'm gonna go with Renato Ritter by TKO in round three. Anyways, that's all for the video. See ya.